All right, I would like to call the meeting of the Rogers Lake Authority to order at 7:30. Erica, if you would you please read the minutes from the last meeting?
Sure. Mark called the meeting to order at 7:33 p.m. We had Mark, Dick, Janelle, Joel, and 2 members of the public in attendance. Dick Smith made a motion to accept the minutes from the November meeting, seconded by Janelle. Discussion should state that the first motion was to accept the minutes from the October meeting versus the September meeting. Motion passed. Old business, review expenditures for November 24, 129 for clerical fees, 940 for fees, and miscellaneous other. Is legal fees to draft the business for dam. 215.39 is for both cell phones. Expenses and capital budget that were discussed at the last meeting were submitted by Mark. Status of notice of violation. Review Jacobson proposal for water diversion application report. This is able to use the sluiceway to reduce the risk of potential flooding. Also need to file 401 water quality certificate. We will be allowed to use water studies from 2013 as the original study. To apply for the water diversion, there is a fee which is $3,100. This is cut in half from the normal fee. Have to do public notices, which will cost about $500. Must do pre-application meetings, so do need engineering support to certify certain parts of application. Estimated cost for water quality test is $1,000 to $1,500. Must prove the need to divert the water. Review Jacobson proposal for a hydrology study. Approximately 9,300 and will show how level of lake affects the water table of the land surrounding the lake. Mark will get clarification on when this will be completed. Review of estimated costs for study and application. Info will cost about the same as the repair state basin. Requirement of notice of violation is that this application must be submitted within 90 days. Process of approval is selected in Finance Committee. If approved by First Select Women, then will go to Finance. Janelle made a motion to approve the proposed budget and do the work required to submit application form out. Joel seconded. Motion passed. Water quality update. Mark and Joel gave samples that had been collected. A couple of the samples were slightly contaminated with soil, so they are being run through a special filter. No new business, no public comment, and Janelle made a motion to the meeting at 8:08. Seconded by Dick. Motion passed.
Are there any comments or corrections on the minutes?
I don't have any. Nope.
Could I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
Second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I passed in front of you, next item on the agenda is the review of expenditures, which for December were pretty straightforward. We had our normal clerical fees, and then the contracted services of $3,555 was the actual mussel survey report. They billed us for the work done last summer, and they finished the report and filed it, so they billed us for that. And I do not know what the $32.18 for boat expenses is, because I'll have to track that down. The boat's not in the water, so I'm not allowed to encourage any expenses. It might be a cell phone or something, I'm not sure. I forget what it was. Oh, yeah? Okay. Okay. I mean, it's, you know. Okay. Any questions or comments? Status of the notice of violation. We did receive approval from both the Selectmen's Committee and the Board of and the Finance Committee to for $19,925 for professional services to support our application for the water diversion permit. As required by the notice, we submitted just before year end an updated notice of compliance to tell them what we are doing, that we've received funding, that we've engaged Nathan Jacobson, and we expect to have the study done around February 15th. checked in with Wade Thomas, who's my contact at Nathan Jacobson. He's working on it, works in progress. We're going to have a call next week to just check on the schedule and see what we may need to do to bring to the table to help in that process. Any questions?
So last month we talked about end of January.
I'm sorry?
So it was the end of the year. So for Jacobson, the services of the proposal were anticipated to be completed by the end of 2024. At our meeting last month, we thought that was still true. That didn't happen.
No, I said we weren't going to complete it by then. I mean, I said that from the beginning. The contract says that they will do that, but that assumed that we approved the contract when that was drafted.
Okay. Because
If your question is, am I going to go back and get that rewritten to update it to the February
not my
15th?
question.
Okay, what's your question?
my question was, last month I asked because I was concerned about the date.
Right.
And it says services proposal are anticipated to be completed by the end of 2024, and my notes say it's true still. Because I asked that last month. But it's not the case, correct?
It's not the case, and I don't think I stated that it was going to be completed by the end of 24.
Because you didn't have funding.
I didn't have funding. So I couldn't, it
Right.
wasn't possible.
Because it says services of this proposal are anticipated to be complete by the end of 2024, but a portion of the work will continue into early 2025. And then we talked about which portion. I'm just confirming it's not done.
It's not done.
Okay, thank you.
We expect to have it done by the 15th of February.
Okay.
Any other questions? We did get an analysis of the tributary samples back from Yale, from Andrew. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, like, got a quick handout, I've got a couple others. If you want to go to the protocol. So, as most of you know, we're monitoring lake quality carefully year to year. We can compare data year to year. There's been a slow rise in phosphate over the years, and that prompted us to look back to a report from about 20 years ago that phosphate will be kept in check if the entering water from the tributaries is clean and it's sort of constantly being flushed out. That prompted us to look at the water coming in from the tributaries and to look at the individual tributaries, which are shown on the map. It's a little hard to see in black and white here, but on the map, numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are accessible points from the public roads where we could sample, and Dick and I took samples last year just after a heavy rain in the fall. And these were sent off to Yale for testing. And so this is just one point looking at these samples, but that's shown in the graph insert where there are two scales. The left scale is total phosphorus, micrograms per liter. The right scale is total nitrogen in milligrams per liter. Horizontal axis is each of the 5 sites, where the 2 types are differentiated by the solid line being phosphorus and the dotted line being nitrogen, and their scales, they can all be sort of on the same graph. And what this shows is that site 5, which is in the lower right of the graph, at least in this one sampling point, is much higher than the others. And with nitrogen, the dotted line is up by a factor of 3 or so, and then with the phosphorus and the solid line, it's up significantly more relative to the others. And I think it's that relative aspect that's important. So we sent this off to water quality contacts, and they agree that it'd be good to get more data versus time at these locations, and then also maybe some of the other locations to pinpoint the quality of this all-important flushing water, so to speak, coming in. If there are any issues with point sources of phosphate, we want to see where that was. One question that came up is, why would five be high, and the downstream 4 not be high? It's not clear whether the measurement is, the phosphate at 5 got sort of absorbed on its way downstream, or maybe there was an influx at 5 that hadn't reached 4 yet. We're just looking at the beginning of heavy rain. So the bottom line is we need more data that our water quality contacts and analytics people are intrigued and happy to help out. We'll be planning more sampling. So Dick and I will go out with our polls and samples if your Dick is for the take more samples.
Joel, are we considering this a baseline?
We're considering this one point. You know, and like anything you plot over time, you can have noise and so forth. So if we get a series of points and 5 is down and 2 is up or something like that, that could just be sort of random aspects. But if 5 is sustained high and then 4 is sustained low, and that's telling us to look upstream from 5, and we can look at on maps and whether we can poke around, we could get appropriate access or not, I don't know. So I'm excited that we're getting data. I'm a little concerned about what we're seeing, but better to see and learn more than to not see.
Yeah. Thank you. That's really helpful. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to get out and do it again.
But overall, it's up.
Yeah.
Overall measured in the lake, which is of course blending everything, has been slowly rising.
Yeah.
And that report from 20 years ago was warning of a tipping point. And that's what got me concerned. We don't want to be anywhere near that. So now it's power.
Thank you. Also, I was talking with Yale. We should get the water quality report for 2024 by the end of the week or so. Yeah. Okay. That's what he said. We'll see. Any other comments or questions? Moving on to new business. There aren't any lake events at the moment, or for the next that I know of now. When I sent out the agenda to ask for input, Tony suggested we might want to sort of schedule out when we're going to start with patrol boat for the season, and just sort of think that through, and then maybe be more specific next month. Sort of as a calendar point, Memorial Day is May 26th. So normally, don't we have the boat in the water like a week before, week 2 before that? Okay. So I was thinking we probably start putting out jobs, hiring in March. I think that, because we have 2 returning. Well, I'll confirm that, but we're looking for 1 more. So, yeah. And then we talked about it last month, but do we want to review the job description in February just to make sure that we're all comfortable that that's what we want, if we want to change it or not? Or?
Sure. I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. We'll do that in February. One of the items that was suggested is to set up a spreadsheet or a Google Calendar that would have everybody's shift and use it as a shared spreadsheet so that we could everybody know who was supposed to be on. It can be easy to look up and see who was supposed to be on that day, and if they weren't, you know, how to follow through. I guess I'm asking, is anybody good at that? I mean, if not, I can get my daughter-in-law to do it, but because she's very good with it, to set up the group. But I was just.
I don't know how to do it.
All right.
I set it up for another organization. So I'm so fortunate to be a part of it.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, and I think we'll set up for training just after we get the boat in the water. So, okay. Moving on then, potential speaker schedule. I confirmed with Yale that David Post, who's a professor of ecology and environmental biology, is going to present at our meeting in February, and he'll be talking about water quality. And he's been in charge of the Alewife study on the lake. He's basically Andrew McDonald's boss. That's who Andrew runs our water quality and has also been involved with the fish ladder. So
He's going to present, David Post's going to present February, next month?
Yep.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
February 12th.
Yep. So we need to get that sort of out into, because, I don't want them to come and have just us here. So
Do you have a bio?
I can get a bio.
If you get me a bio, I'll get it on our site, the town site, and then I can talk to Katie and see where else we can put it.
Okay.
And then I'll
Martha's
if you,
note,
I'll put it around town if you have done all that.
yeah, Martha can put it in the note. Does the Lime selectman do a note like Martha does?
No.
Okay. We can post them. Yeah, put it in coffee, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, does anyone get the Lime line? Does anyone get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check, easy check. The ad.
So I get it, I don't know how I get it, but I get it, and maybe the guy can put it in there for free.
Okay. If you could do, I will get you the bio. and we
Get
can
me the
run with it
bio
from there.
and
Okay.
I think Joan knows who that is.
the line man,
Yeah.
I'm like,
So-
Lime line,
So that's an online. Yeah.
it's an
Yeah.
email thing that comes out.
yeah.
Iowa Logan is the contact.
Yeah,
Editor@limeline.com.
right, because I get it, so, but we have some time, so the next one that comes through, this is a weekly.
Well, it's on the web and you can access it anytime you like.
Limeline.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So it would be worthwhile posting that, or asking them to post it there.
I'm pretty
How about the
sure.
Lime Times? That's what we think.
Yeah.
But do they
What
take public
newspaper owns it?
things?
I don't know, they do.
I just get it every Thursday.
I know, it just came today. Get me the bio and I'll
Okay.
do my convo.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll see if I can get a title for what he's going to talk on, just so that we can.
Okay.
More water quality or analyze or both.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not really creative and make something up.
If you're looking for suggestions, it's the day, the Blue London Day.
Oh, that's what owns that
Yeah, they
publication.
publish the
Okay.
Blue Lime Times, but you might also want to talk to Greg Stroud at the Connecticut Examiner.
Oh, yeah.
Greg,
Greg Stroud, S-T-R-O-U-D. He's the publisher.
And what's the name of your speaker?
David Post. At Yale.
Professor, right?
Yes. I was also looking for other things, and for when Joel and I went to the invasive species program, actually, they will come out and hold a seminar on our hands. They will basically do what we went to see here. If we we can put in a request for them to come.
That'd be great. And what would be wonderful if we can incorporate with that is to have that help us toward developing rapid response planning to invasive species. As I mentioned briefly last time, there was a lake symposium that was these online symposiums through the fall that were out of Western Connecticut State University. And there's a fellow there named Cam Wager who presented on the need to have a plan and what it takes place to have a plan. And his presentation is about a half hour, that's online, and I can give people the link. And I'll see if I can find out more of what it'll take to put together a plan. But having that same group out to educate, these are the things to watch for, and if it's this, or this, send out the alarms, and what does that mean?
I'll get back with you and, because you can apply online to ask them to come.
Yeah.
So,
I thought it was a great course.
Yeah.
Fun to do, it's really important.
yeah, I mean, it was nice because it was hands-on, you had the plants, so you could actually see what it was and figure out if you could identify it or not. Okay, well, I'll pursue that and I'll work with you to see what we can do. Okay, I think that's it on the formal agenda. Is there any comments?
I have, as a takeaway from last month, I found out the Events Magazine submission date.
Yep.
So February 7th, May 2, July 25, October 26. So all the rules in terms of link stay the same. And those are the dates that they're due to the town. And I'll just follow the same process as last year. Ask if
Yep.
there's any thoughts.
Okay.
Write it, make sure it follows the criteria.
And a bunch of,
Make sure you do that.
It's good to do that.
hey, I got told for that. You're in a meeting and you don't punch out, then you're gonna explain why you didn't punch out. You know, please.
Great. Oh, so we could actually put in Yale coming here in the one for the 7th? When does it get published, actually?
No, so.
It doesn't go after.
No.
Then never mind.
So you're looking ahead.
Yeah.
So it's actually, there's about 6 weeks left.
Okay. I should have known. Oh, well.
Well, maybe we can get it in before those, that invasive.
Yeah, we'll see if we can run that down. Okay. Any other comments?
I'd like to talk about geese. I know, I guess it's a good time to talk about geese, considering the conversation I dropped into.
Yeah.
I live at 11 Townsend's Row, and I've noticed that the flock this winter has probably tripled from last year.
That's sure is.
And the reason for my coming is I know that it's also coming toward budget season. Budgets are going to start to be allocated between, start to be constructed to submit to the finance committees for both, or boards of finance for both line and old line. And I'd like to see some consideration for flock control submitted from the Rogers Lake Authority. I'm going to be talking to the Recreation and Parks Department, who's local line. I've done that in the past. And in fact, they have included in the past some measures to control the flock, primarily using dogs to harass the flock. It's illegal to kill them. And certainly I don't want to see any of the animals harmed, but we've got a problem that's going to continue to grow. Considering that you're also talking about water quality right now, I think this is a perfect time, perhaps to see some collaboration between Parks and Rec and Old Line, the Rogers Lake Authority, and I recognize that sometimes that can be a little bit tenuous because of the multiple towns that are involved with the Rogers Lake Authority. But I do think, considering budgets are now being constructed, it's something that's necessary. Previous years, in speaking with Parks and Rec, they reluctantly hired the dogs, and when they did hire them, the flock left. Yes. It's something that needs to be continuous, though, and I know it can be expensive. I think that some of the previous mechanical attempts were good attempts, but unfortunately, will be proven that lights and sounds just don't work unless they're added to, or other means are added to. I know that there are some needs help, but that means that, well, they have to be moved, as it turns out. And, you know, I recognize it's a little difficult for somebody to show up every day and change the position of the dummies, right? But with that in mind, dogs are there frequently. It's well worth a try, because we've got to get control of this.
The girl was good at the dog before.
She really was, and I know there's a number of businesses in and around in London County that do offer this as a service. You know, in fact, I'm going to be speaking to the Parks and Rec as well to ask them if they had budget money. I know it's always difficult. Can they start now? Because as it turns out with geese, they're going to start to nest in February and early March. And if we can do that before they nest, we have a much greater chance of controlling the flock and getting them out of here. So I know they'll never completely leave, but as it turns out, Canada geese are less migratory now than they used to be. And we have between the park and Town Woods Park and High Hopes as well, along with the lake, we've got a perfect environment. It's really very friendly for them. So, and I realize we can't eradicate them, and I don't think that that's necessary, but we do need to keep control.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Sure, my name's Tom.
Hi, Tom. Two things you might not be aware of. There is a commission for Haynes Park, and the person running that commission, I can't remember her name. I'd have to.
Sarah,
So it's Sarah Bentley.
Okay, so she is, looking at doing something about the geese. And, it involves trapping the geese. And, similar to what New Britain had proposed, if you're familiar with
I
that.
agree, so.
Okay, so, Martha is aware of that. I don't know if you've spoken with Martha.
No, I haven't.
So I would suggest you connect with Martha as well as Sarah and voice your concerns, because they have had that on their agenda.
So I've been intimately involved with this situation as well.
Through rowing.
Through rowing, and I also sat on a committee that raised money to beautify Haynes Park. And nothing has been spent because we're waiting, there's a 3-step process, and the first process is to eradicate.
Mm-hmm.
And as you correctly point out, Sarah Bentley chairs that committee, and she is moving things forward. I also sit on the Board of Finance. So last year, the Parks and Rec actually asked to increase their anti-goose budget by $2,000. And we asked them if they had any plans for what they were going to do with $11,000. And they were unable to provide any plan whatsoever. And so without a plan, we did not approve the money. So you will see that the money wasn't approved, but I want you to understand that there was a good reason for that. So we're in budget season again, and Park and Rec presented to us. We sit on Monday, so I think it was like 10 days ago, and they have some new plans, as you pointed out. The ones that I'm familiar with, if you look at their minutes, they're planning to addle the eggs. So that's a USDA process. I mean, you can't just.
We're already on the list of the groupers.
So that approach is in the works. And then the other approach that I've heard about is that they plan to treat the grass, air quotes, it's not really grass over there, it's weeds, but anyway, with some sort of distasteful chemical.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, sure.
So I'm not familiar with that process much at all, but the only thing I asked, relative to water quality, I asked if Rogers Lake Authority had been notified and whether DEEP needed to be notified, because I think we can be pretty sure that whatever you put on the grass is going to end up in the lake. And so I don't know, in the meeting, we were really kind of focused on other things, so we could go down that rabbit hole, but so I don't really know whether the appropriate authorities have been notified. But those are the two prongs they're working on now, but at a high level, I think they're much more focused because they want to get to releasing this money to beautify the park, which is all good. And Sarah Bentley is driving it, which is also coyotes, I agree with you, sort of thinking, result. You know, if it requires moving them, I'd be happy to move them every time I'm there. But, they sit on a pedestal that's planted.
Yeah.
So you would have to,
I don't think they work. I've driven by and the geese are just laying around.
Yeah. From the research that I've done, and part of it includes the USDA, there's 2 or 3 chemicals that they recommend can be used to spray on grass. Doesn't kill the grass, it's supposed to taste bad to keep so they leave. There's another that's is used, it'll make the eggs deteriorate so that they won't hatch. It doesn't harm the geese themselves. That's also been USDA approved, but it has to be going through local channels and local organizations in order to get approved to use it. The third is using dogs, and that together with mechanical devices is considered the most effective. But not one thing by itself will typically work. It has to be a continuous process until the flock ultimately disperses and leaves.
so Denise Savageau, who's in town. So I passed her name on the committee because she has a lot of the same expertise. I don't know whether you or she has advice.
Not at this point, no.
The dogs
But the
didn't,
dog problem is that you'll see there's a big sign in the park that says there are no dogs allowed in the park.
Yes.
And we've been around this bush, because I would gladly think that they could look aside from their dog prohibition to solve this problem. But apparently, all the parks are kind of linked together in this, like, 3-legged race. So they can't change an ordinance for Haynes Park without changing it for all the parks. And they don't want dogs in all the parks. So I'm sure this is something that could be worked around, so somebody put their minds to it.
I just can't redo it.
There used to be, didn't the town of Old Lyme used to hire a
I used to have
dog?
a girl with a dog here for years.
Used to have dogs, and
Yeah.
But how is the town, how is it possible that the town is hiring somebody to do something that's prohibited?
We used to leave,
Like, how is that possible?
Well, I'll give you another example.
we used to leave bags for the dogs.
We have a airboat on the lake doing chemicals. Airboats are not allowed on the lake. So how do we do it?
there's a reason for, a particular reason.
We do it.
That does the dogs for the geese and the airboat
Yeah.
for the chemicals, it's not general use.
just
I
as
used
a,
to walk my dogs in park,
Yeah.
and they were welcomed by everyone, particularly the workers, because it was, just a diversion.
Yeah.
But, I was, well, I had a conversation with one of the previous first selectmen. Just keep in mind, there are no dog police in Old Lyme, so
No, absolutely.
clean up after your dog and be a good neighbor,
Yeah.
and everything's fine. But anyway, your point's well taken.
do the
There's
dog,
an ordinance that says there's no dog.
my concern, I mean, I think the dogs are a great idea, but won't that just drive the geese to the islands?
No, as it turns out, they get uncomfortable with the location. Now, most of the time, they will leave, they'll come back, but what you're gonna see is they're gonna be dispersed. They're less likely to nest, particularly as we do it in the late February through to April. And, that there will be a dog presence in different, places to go, such as the boat launch. Haynes Park certainly is the largest one. They'll move around, and once you get them moving, they'll look for other places.
But
There's
years
so many
ago,
marshes in the area.
that woman with the dog used to put them in the canoe too and take them out onto the lake.
Oh, really?
And just when the dog,
Yeah.
didn't have to bark or nothing, he'd look and the geese.
Wow.
But what I'd like to know is why did it stop? Did, whoever paid, so Old Lyme didn't want to pay for it?
That's right.
It was the budget.
It's a situation where if you think about it as a one and done,
Uh-huh,
it's ineffective.
right.
It's something that becomes a
Mhm.
continuous process. Now, you can do it spring, fall, when they're migrating into the area or out of the area. And that combined with the, dummies, the coyotes and, other aspects of grass, spraying grass, it becomes effective. last
I
summer.
bet you it was 300 from my house today.
Because
Because they're in close to shore, because the wind's coming out of the west, and you're right close to shore, sitting there, floating around.
So it's just, and they will attract more birds because it's considered, the bird's considered friendlier or safe place. So we're just getting more and more.
People look into how the various geese control methods affect other nesting waterfowl on the lake.
There are some studies that I've seen, Ohio State particularly has done quite a bit. Ohio's got a big problem because that becomes a wintering spot for migratory birds from Canada. So when you look at, University of Missouri, Ohio State, the Iowa, universities as well, all have studies about it. It's less of a problem for those migratory birds. I mean, when you look out on the lake now, we've got buffleheads, we've got, loons from up north. They don't stay very long, and they're not here to mate or pair off. The geese will start to pair off very, very soon. We're probably 30 to 45 days away from that. Once they do that, and once they build their nest, it's almost too late.
So can you, I would think addling eggs would happen, I mean, certainly after the nest are built, right?
I thought that was illegal.
No, it's not.
No.
Good.
Oh, no, you can sign up. Actually, we have signed up.
And the
I
Sign
was
up.
surprised to hear that you
End of March,
Yeah.
end of March, beginning of April, we have.
Yeah. Well, you're technically not supposed to addle them. I think you're supposed to put oil
We
on.
cover them with vegetable oil.
Yeah,
which is not really working. We tried
but
So you've done that before?
We've done it here for here.
for a few years.
Okay.
what's happening.
Does Sarah know that?
Was she at the meeting when Pat Spratt was here?
we're delving into official Rogers Lake things and things that members of the community have done on their own over the years.
So
Yes, I'm
addling
gonna say
eggs,
yes, she does.
I don't want to expose anybody doing like illegal addling.
We're on the list.
Okay.
No, I was at the meeting. I didn't mention to Sarah at the time that I knew people had gone, well, actually, we talked that people had gone out and addled with eggs already, because Rogers Lake Authority had not done that.
Right,
People did.
but we are on the list now as
We
authorized
we
adverts.
filed with the government to have the right to do it and our responsibility to report.
Yeah.
We haven't formally done that. We would start that this season.
Yeah. We're on the list for 2025.
Just making the eggs disappear works even better.
But then they lay them again.
Remove the eggs. That's
You lay 'em
legal.
again.
You can legally remove the eggs. That's the best way.
But they lay them again.
That's all right, you go around second time. You get them.
It sounds like it's a combination of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been trial and error.
So it looks like we're gonna be doing stuff with the eggs. We've, it looks like there's potentially money in the budget to do something from the Parks and Rec.
I don't remember the exact number, but Don came before us like 10 days ago and had a smaller budget, which I mean, the budget isn't done
Yeah.
yet, but it seemed like he had more of a plan and it was a smaller number, so it looked like it had the potential to be approved. I also took a look at the Park and Rec minutes, and they were looking for $5,000 for egg settling.
Oh, really?
I don't know,
We do it for free.
well, you know, I'll bring that up. It's for us. I know a guy. Yeah, so it's all very, it's a little bit confusing. I'm trying to tease out the different threads. You know, that they were looking for $5,000 at their meeting and which line item that is.
I'll talk to Sarah and check the minutes to see
Yeah.
what has been discussed. So,
Haven't put that into trapping them and getting rid of them.
yeah.
I know.
Well, I mean, the other thing that was brought up before was exactly that, the feds, the,
With a permit.
the federal agency out of Massachusetts, and I forget the exact name of it, came down and did a presentation where they do have a program where they will round up the geese, euthanize them, and use the meat, distribute the meat to people that need it, soup kitchens, people that need it. Unfortunately, after that, and they were supposed to get back to us, the group, with the price, and I don't know if that ever happened for them to do that. They also handle the publicity. They handle the whole process. That same process had been proposed in a nearby town and caused sort of an uproar. So people didn't have much of a, locally did not have much of a desire to go down that road. But they were going to do that. That program recognized that the geese here actually fly over to a couple of other parks, the High Hopes Park and another one. So it's all sort of one flock because they move all around together.
See that they come from that little kind of swampy place on the other side of Post Road, because you often see them crossing the road.
Yeah.
And I encourage people to visit. Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Be legal.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
Oops, okay. The other concern is it's not just gross water quality or gross being maybe as well as gross. But there's pathogens. If there's certain pathogens excreted by geese that are dangerous, we've done some measurements there.
It's a public health hazard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we think that the reason why the beach at Haynes Park is generally closed most of the summer is partially because of geese.
Well, yeah, we do too.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, well, I received a complaint that, people were getting rashes. So I approached Yale, that's been doing our water quality, and it's from their feces. It's actually a mite, and it gets on your skin, and it buries itself under the skin. So, I think
You did.
I sent Mark the, email about that, but there's, you need data, it was just his observation that he's seen where they've had this issue, and it was from the feces, and it's a living mite that gets under your skin and causes the rash. And, but, did it really come from the geese, or did it come from ducks, or?
Yeah.
So in 2024, didn't we expand to 5 locations that Ledge Light would test the water?
You'd ask them about testing for specific pathogens.
And they do 5 for free. Because Dave Evers said there's 2 spots on West Shore, the right-of-ways where people can swim, were added to that list.
We tried to get them added to the list. They didn't do it.
They
We
didn't.
filed to ask them to do it, and they never did it. We can file again and ask the request to be
People
added.
use the wells right around the lake, on the rock of water. So then they don't do this anymore. There's one right on the corner of Bader Avenue.
They only test Haynes Park.
They only test, all they test for is E. coli.
Yeah.
And right now, they only test at Haynes Park. I requested that they, 2 years ago now, asked them to do one of the one of the beach areas off of Osceola up here.
Because I think that's where children were playing that developed a rash.
We can, wearing one of my other hats, I can try to file again and ask them to do that. But you were not added to the list before.
Back in August, I emailed saying, based on the attached abstract of a review article from 2015, it looks like specific pathogens can be identified, measured, and linked to Canada geese. Is this something that we could ask Daniela Holmes at Ledge Light District to do?
fairly satisfactory answer from Harris, if I'm remembering that.
Should we all sign whatever application, numbers, so
Basically said, I think she said, I remember that now, yeah, she basically said she doesn't do that.
Right, and she didn't seem all too eager to figure out how.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would have to set up our own
Our own testing?
testing to do that.
It's the main reason I bring this up, if we're having difficulty getting budget, or if we have pushback to euthanizing the need for the certifications, I think this is something you really want to bring up. This isn't just a matter of there's mess in the water, it's more serious.
I think, I just want to make it clear, I think that the Board of Finance acknowledges that there's a problem. They just weren't willing to allocate a bunch of money if there was no.
There's no,
plan
yeah.
behind it.
We should find out,
And that's good.
Yeah.
no, we appreciate that. I think, Julie, we got to find a way to get that tested. Right? Find somebody that has the background. Maybe we can ask Yale if they know, or maybe stores. Somebody must track that sort of thing.
Maybe our water quality contacts and our invasive species contacts might know who they are.
Yeah, we can run that down and see if we can get,
They posted here next month.
maybe we can ask him.
Sure,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but we gotta,
decades of data
on the lake.
we gotta move though. We gotta develop a plan and cost if we're gonna get it funded.
Yeah.
Because that window is closing.
Yeah.
Could we also look at grant money for that?
For next year.
Yeah, I mean, we can try. I mean, it's,
I mean, if we miss the window for finance,
you can look for grant money for sure.
If you have a project you need funded and you miss the budget, you can always come before Board of Finance and ask.
Yeah, we've done that very recently.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not like the window
Yeah, that's
closes.
true. Yeah.
It sounds like we need a plan within 30 days to catch the window of this season.
Yeah, faster
Well,
than that.
you've already come before us, right?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You were before us for a
for,
one-off,
for a one-off.
that's
Yeah,
right. I remember.
No,
seeing it.
yes, in December I was there.
Yeah,
No,
you were at our regular meeting.
yes. Yeah.
So we're meeting every Monday through, January into February.
Yeah, I'm usually in the last group.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, so you have some time.
Yeah,
So when you get your date, you'll know. And even if you miss your date,
Yeah.
we'll call.
no, that would be in our bailiwick because it's the water. I mean, it's tough for us to put dogs in the budget because it's not our park.
Right. And I think you rightly pointed out that it has to be a cooperative.
Yeah.
effort between Parks and Rec and Rogers Lake Authority and everyone else. And Parks and Rec, I appreciate that Parks and Rec is not the easiest organization to work with.
True. Okay, does that, one other comment, I guess, that we actually started the meeting with, that Tom, you weren't sure, or you might have just caught part of, that we wanted to have is, I think the simplest way to say it is Tony and I were notified that someone on the northwest side of the lake shot at geese today. We don't know if any geese were harmed, but the event happened for sure, because I heard the shots. And the point is that if someone observes some activity like that again, it's very important that you record the date and time, take pictures if you can, and get as much information as you can so we can hand it over to the Deep's environmental police, as they could follow it up and see if the person has a hunting license, if they, as we were discussing, that you're not supposed to shoot within either 250 or 500 feet of homes. So the question of why shots could be fired on the lake. But it's very important. We can't do anything if we don't have documentation.
That note, would noise makers be a problem? Because if somebody saw someone with a rifle or a shotgun, it's one thing, that's another, just making noise or shooting blanks.
Yeah, could be doing that.
Noise makers are effective.
Yes.
But literally,
Temporarily.
they're not
Yeah.
sustainable.
I mean, in this specific instance, I believe there were only 2 geese on that side of the lake at the time. And the geese don't, on that part of the lake, the geese don't go ashore because it's too steep and it's, you know, covered with trees. So it's not a place they nest or anything like that. One other point, though, there is a geese hunting season, and right now geese are in season. You can hunt for geese if you meet all the other criteria and have a stamp, as
Those are very good.
Dennis mentioned. Well, thank you. This has been a good discussion. Are there any comments or anything else?
I make a motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.